and welcome to another edition of Florida Sportsman Action Spotter Podcast. I'm Captain Rick Riles. Woo, been a chilly week in the state of Florida this week. I tell you, watching the football games, I don't feel so bad. Saw a lot of the white stuff and a lot of ice, but it's been chilly down here by our standards, no doubt. Here's what we got planned for you this evening. We're going to make a quick stop in Nosara, Costa Rica to check in with Craig Sutton and find out how the marlin bite is down there. It's just been so good. Then we're going to come up to the northeast corner of Florida, check in with Captain David Voorhees, work our way all the way down the East Coast through Jim Ross in East Central and Ray Rocher in Southeast and coming through the Keys up to Steve Dahl and 10,000 Islands. You get the picture, all the way around the state till we end up in the Panhandle. Two things I want to know. What's biting this week? How has this cold weather affected them? And I've got questions for the boys tonight. For some of them, I want to ask them what the worst emergency they ever faced on the water and how did they get out of it. Or what if, let's say you're an inshore guy and you're running real low on snook in your area. Would you be willing to spend up to 5% of your income to launch a hatchery program that would replace the snook? Just wondering. Let's find out by starting to Costa Rica. We're going to start this evening's festivities over in Nosara, Costa Rica, where the blue marlin fishing has been white hot. I'm hoping it's holding up. Craig, are you with us?
Yes, sir, Captain.
You know, Craig, I'm looking at my layout sheet here for the show, and it says I'm supposed to do a Yamaha commercial in the break after you. You may be the best Yamaha commercial in the world. How many?
Yeah, we are. Dude.
How many Yamahas do you run?
Total?
Yeah.
Well, all our boats are Yamahas. We got two on the big boat, on the Discover Wonder, and then single on every other boat. And then our shuttle pang is a Yamaha too. It's just, and I'll never forget when I first tried to get sponsorship or some help from Yamaha. I had to be honest with them, and I told them, you turn me down, I'm still going to buy Yamahas. It's just, in Central America, you got to go by durability, and you've seen it. We're extremely remote, and the Yamaha's the only game in town. I mean, you don't have access to parts and service and all that. And when our boats are running 286 trips in 9 months, Yamaha's the only way to go.
And did you tell me you expect 6,000 hours out of those motors?
Oh, no question. Yeah.
I guess I won't turn mine in for a new pair after all. Hey, Craig.
Well, I told you that me and you talked about a year and a half ago. I said, dude, you had like 2,700 hours. I'm like, they're barely broke in. My boat that I'm redoing to get ready to sell, I got 3,500 hours.
How about that?
They don't miss a beat, man.
All right, I want to know. I want enough love for Yamaha. I want to know how the fishing was down there this week.
It was crazy good. Crazy good.
Still catching marlin?
Oh, yeah. And when we had a 5 sailfish release day.
That's good.
And had a marlin, a 5 sailfish and a nice big tuna, not 100, but an 80-ish. And I talked to the clients, and because I wanted my impression and my experience down there, when the marlin are feeding, the sailfish are there, but they won't bite. They wait for the big marlins to feed, and then literally 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes later, the sails will start biting. And I talked to the client and said, yeah, we got the nice marlin, about a 350-pound blue. Got him to the boat, released him, and put the baits out. And then the sailfish started, and they went 5 for 7 on the sails. Then a big yellowfin and a pretty decent mahi. But that's been the same story really for almost 2.5 months now.
Wow, that is some good fishing. I tell you what.
I kept thinking the marlin were going to slow up, right there in the 1st of December, and then they just kept chewing and chewing and chewing. It's been if the trend keeps up, this will be by far one of the biggest marlin release years for us.
Well, Craig, I've been screaming for a while that we should be catching more blue marlin because they're, what's taking them? I mean, the longliners are not supposed to ever fish live bait, which is really the only way they're ever going to encounter a blue one, He's probably not going to eat a dead hanging bait. None of the sport fish boats are putting them on the dock anymore. I don't even remember the last dead blue marlin I saw. We should start catching more blue marlin, shouldn't we?
Yeah, I totally agree. And maybe that's what we're seeing the benefits of. But, and Costa Rica's pretty aggressive on those long liners, using live baits and having the real long ones and being in close. And they're enforcing those laws a lot harder and a lot more comprehensive now than they were in years previous. But
good.
Yeah, it's been a good year so far. Been a real good year.
Costa Rica could be hurting without the Americans going down there to catch marlin. There ain't no doubt. Craig,
the number one. Costa Rica is the number one destination for Americans leaving America.
Oh, is that right?
The last 3 years, yep.
You mean moving from America or going on trips?
No, we're going on vacation. When they leave America, the majority of them are going to Costa Rica.
I'll be darned. That's interesting as heck. I can certainly understand why, but that is interesting.
They projected last year 3.5 million. They ended up with 3.6 million.
Sweet.
I think you're probably 4 million.
All right, buddy. Please tell me we can check with you next week, and let's keep the marlin thing going.
I'll be looking forward to talking.
Thank you, Craigie. And we get to start up in Northeast Florida, up in the corner. That's where we'll find Captain David Voorhees. David, been a little chilly this week.
It has been, and I tell you, we're dealing with some cold water also, not just cold air, but I talked to several captains today who's fished up north, and they said they saw water temperatures, as low as 52, even 54 degrees and 52 in some of the areas. So it's really dropped into the mid to low 50s. That's quite a drop compared to what we see. It's really shut the fish down. It's been some very tough fishing for the guys, and they're not seeing much. The guys that are catching are obviously fishing deeper water to get these fish to bite. This is where having the really good electronics comes in handy with some of these guys with the side scope and the imaging depth finders and stuff like that, because these fish really, they're not moving a lot. They're not doing their normal movement. So you almost have to go out and find them. And a lot of them are going to be in some of these deep holes. If you can find a deep hole back in a creek that, let's say, is, over 10 feet deep, you're probably going to find some fish in there. Along the intercoastal waterway on some of these drop-offs, you're going to find some fish. Trout fishing, some guys have been reporting, it's been pretty slow, and a lot of the guys are just saying, they're not even fishing for them. Just that there hasn't been a good number of trouts, but I have had some reports of guys catching some yellowmouth trout along the intercoastal. That's been good. A few black drums here and there and a sheephead on occasion. But you really have to slow things down when it gets this cold. And you might be on fish and just have a hard time getting them to bite. This is a time of year where, it wouldn't hurt to not only have shrimp, but to also have some minnows, because sometimes I've found that, the shrimp work good, and they've been working very good. But a lot of times when these fish are lethargic like they are now, you put that vibration in front of them, and it's almost, you got a minnow down there wiggling. Sometimes it's hard for them to resist that. And, sometimes you'll get a better bite on the minnows than you will the shrimp. But the shrimp have been working. They've been working good. Very slow week, very tough bite. It's very slow this time of year. Been a slow bite. It's been cold. You got to slow things down. This is time of year where, you want to do some dead sticking, and that means, it's not exciting type fishing, but if you want to get the bite or get the fish to bite, and they're in there and you can see some fish, you want to throw up in there and just let it sit there. And sometimes you might have to sit there for, 10, 15 minutes to get that bite. But it's been tough, no doubt about it. When the water temperature drops this much, We got a few more days of this cold, then it'll be back warming up. The good thing is the water's very, very clear. So when we do get these warming trends where it gets sunny like this, I see the mud flats warming up and probably some good sight fishing on the dark mud flats this time of year. So, I'm keeping my fingers crossed for that.
That's where they'll be headed, up on that warm mud that the sun got to. That's for sure. Hey, I got a question for you, David.
Go ahead.
You've been in this business forever. What is the scariest experience you've ever had with a party on the water?
Oh boy, I tell you, I mean, I've had some close calls and stuff before, but one of the scariest ones, and I guarantee you're going to find this out of most captains, it's going to be a weather related item.
Oh yeah.
Weather is never anything you second guess. It's weather is going to be, that's the big thing that scares us all. Florida is known for its lightning strikes. I've seen lightning strikes. I've seen them where they actually made contact. I've been in some pretty bad storms, but there was one incident that I'll never forget it. And I think about it to this day, and it's one of those things that just it still makes me think about how close it was to us having a really bad day. It didn't end bad, but it could have. And we got, we were out fishing. We knew this front was coming through. We were having a phenomenal day of fishing. We could see the sky to the west of us getting black, getting dark. I kept one eye on my cell phones, on my watching the radar coming in. The other one on the sky, and just the guys catching one fish after the other. And you didn't want to leave, and all right, guys, it's time. We're out of here. Let's go. You felt the wind temperature start to drop, getting cold, and you're like, yeah, it's time to go, guys.
All right, how much, not to interrupt you, but how much time did you spend saying, all right, guys, one more cast, and then we got to go?
And that's the one that's going to come back and bite
that's
you,
right.
You got to go with that gut feeling. And that was one of those days where I got a little greedy, and I said, oh man, they're just having so much fun, So we got it on. I said, guys, let's go ahead and get the rain gear on, because I don't think we're going to make it to the boat ramp before the bottom comes out of this. And we didn't. And Ricky, it was coming down so hard. And anybody who's lived in Florida, has driven up and down I-95, can tell you, you can get in some pretty bad rainstorm where you can't see 20 feet in front of you. It gets so thick. And that was one of those days. And it was a cold rain. And the rain's hitting us in the face. I had my son, I'm having to put my glasses on just so I could keep my eyes open to see where I was going.
Right.
And I mean, and I'm trying to get the guys back to the ramp, and right dead in front of me, I mean, within inches, we miss a channel marker.
Yep.
And it was one of those things. It was that close, Rick. It was so, I mean, when I say inches, I'm not, I'm talking, we missed it within less than a foot.
Wow.
And it was one of those things that it scared the dickens out of me. And I was like, God, I put these people's lives in jeopardy. And I think about it to this day, and it's going to haunt me for many, many years. And I'll never make that mistake again.
Yep.
But one, I won't run and outrun my visibility. That was my biggest mistake. Once you're wet, that's it. You're wet, you're cold, it's over with. You might as well just slow down and get yourself home safe. But I was trying to hurry to get these guys back to the boat ramp, and I was probably overrunning my visibility.
Yep. You gambled and you lost. We've all been there, Cap. There ain't no doubt. David, we appreciate it so much. Please tell me we can check with you next week.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it, Ricky. Hopefully we'll get a little better fishing conditions, a little better weather. I hope I have a better fishing report for you next week, but we'll just keep our fingers crossed.
But if you're going fishing, dead sticking's the word, right?
That's it, man. Let it soak. Let it soak.
All right, buddy. Appreciate you. Thank you, Captain David.
Bye-bye.
Our thanks to David Voorhees for a great Northeast report. Now, let's hop down to East Central and check in with Jimmy Ross. Jim, it's a little bit warmer down there than it is up here, isn't it?
It is a little bit, but it's no less windy. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I tell you. Oh, I hate wintertime. It's almost got to be over. We never have winter past January 15th, do we?
It's funny. This year's been a little off compared to most years. Historically, the second week of January is our coldest week of the year. And we actually got that a little early, a week and a half ago. So this last cold front, it got down pretty cool as well, but it's not the coldest week of the year. But here's kind of what's going on with these back-to-back cold fronts like we've had. Water temperature went down into the 50s in Mosquito Lagoon, came back up into the mid 60s, and it went back down almost to 50 again in Mosquito Lagoon. So what's interesting about that is that the redfish and the black drum kind of stayed off of the edges from where they normally are, but the trout, they have stayed deep. They did not come back out on that little warming trend at all. They stayed way deep. So, guys that are fishing for them are going, wow, they're way deeper than the drum and way deeper than the redfish right now.
Yeah, it's a yo-yo. And the only thing I worry about when it gets like this is, have you seen any dead snook?
No, fortunately, I have not. We've gotten down to 50 degrees. Generally, that's kind of the magic number. When it hits 49, all of a sudden you start seeing them having problems. And if it gets down to 46, 47, they're definitely dead. They're dying in that kind of condition.
I hate it.
So we're close, but today it started to warm up. The next couple of days it's going to warm up. Actually, it's supposed to be into the upper 70s to low 80s by sometime later this week. And so, with the water dropping off in temperatures as quickly as it has, it'll come back and it'll get back into the mid 60s again, maybe even upper 60s. And then, if we get one more round of cold, hopefully we'll avert any kind of 40-degree weather or water temperatures this year.
Yep, I sure hope so, because it breaks my heart when we do such a great job with the snook regulations and keeping them tight. And, you can always catch snook, but you can't always keep them, and they got to be in this little slot. And then all of a sudden, here comes Mother Nature killing all of them. That just bothers the heck out of me.
Yeah, that's the one variable we have no control over, that's for sure.
I got a question for you, okay?
Uh-huh.
Let's take snook, for example. Let's say Mother Nature comes and kills all the snook with a sudden blast of cold air. But we've got the hatchery capabilities to replace them. Would you, as a fishing guide, pay up to 5% of your income to restock Mosquito Lagoon with snook?
No.
Okay.
No, and here's why. I've got a way better plan. I've already got the whole thing figured out. Been working on this for years.
Would you call Donald Trump or somebody?
I want to get a hold of somebody at FWC and bend an ear. If somebody out there knows anybody in the FWC that will return a phone call,
Jessica McCauley.
I would love to talk to them for a minute. Here's why, Rick. We are missing and wasting the biggest opportunity to generate funds that I have probably ever seen in my life as far as fisheries management goes. We, as saltwater guides, have a blanket fishing license that we buy.
Mm-hmm.
I pay $200 a year for up to 4 passengers. And it is $200 a year, and I pay $10 for my snook stamp that goes on it. Right. So after taxes, tag title, it comes out to $211 a year, and that's what they get from me. Now, having said that, the freshwater guys have to have their anglers, each angler, buy a fishing license. They have no freshwater blanket fishing license. So let's do super simple math, okay?
My best kind.
Let's say every guide in the state of Florida does 200 days a year, okay? And every guide in the state of Florida has 3 passengers on their boat, okay?
All right.
Each passenger, now you have to take into account, you can't sell an out-of-state license for one day. okay? And you really shouldn't do it for 3 days. The average person coming to Florida is here for a 7-day trip. They've got 1 day inbound, 5 days of vacation, 1 day outbound. So they're here 5 days. So with that being said, let's do $25 for a 5-day fishing license for an out-of-state angler when they're fishing in Florida. They can go fishing off the bank if they want. They can go fishing with a guide if they want. It doesn't matter, but it's $25 for 5 days, $5 a day. Very easy math, okay? My 200 days times that comes out to 1,000, okay?
Right.
Times that by times that by 3. When you calculate, what was it, 25 times 200, it comes out to, I forgot what it comes out to. Anyway, by the end of the year, I can potentially make on 200 days with 3 clients per day at $25 a fishing license. I can generate for the state $15,000 worth of income
in a year.
Now, in a year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and that's only on 200 days,
mm-hmm.
which most full-time guides run more than that. I would say almost all full-time guides run more than that. You can't live without working at least 200 days. You take that, you multiply that. Let's just say there's 5,000 guides in the state. We all know that there's more than that,
yeah.
But let's just say there's 5,000, okay? You multiply 15,000 times 5,000, and it comes out to like $70-something million.
It's a lot of money. That's how
good
my math is. It's a lot of money.
70-ish million dollars allocated specifically to restocking programs and law enforcement of the fisheries.
Well said.
And I would call it an 80% restocking, 20% because they're already funded, but they could use a little additional. So let's rub some more money on the law enforcement side of it to keep everybody on the up and up and give them the 20%. So let's just say it comes out to $55,000 or $55 million. With $55 million, we ought to be able to put a redfish, a snook, a trout, a flounder, and a cobia back out in those waters every single year. That's just my take on it.
Ought to be able to put one in every bathtub at that kind of money.
You would think.
Hey, Jim,
we are just absolutely missing the ball when it comes to this blanket fishing license and not charging out-of-state people. And here's the other thing real quick before I go. FWC just recently in November made it impossible for you to get a short-term fishing license online. You can't go to the website and order a 3-day, a 7-day, or whatever they've got set up right now. I personally, I would have a 5-day or a 1-year period. That's all you could. That's the only options you get.
Mm-hmm.
And a year can be $125, and a 5-day can be $25.
Mm-hmm.
They made it. They took those off of the website. The only thing you can get on the website is a 1-year fishing license. How many people are going to go down to the tax collector's office and stand in that flipping line all day long
that ain't gonna
to
happen,
get
Captain.
a fishing license?
That ain't gonna happen.
We are killing Florida fishing guides business with these propositions and these things that they've implemented. It's so insane. And I just want to talk to somebody and say, dude, stop being stupid. Let's get this right. Because you guys have messed it up big time.
Well, talk about being stupid. When the tackle shops all sold licenses, they made 25 cents a license, and they had to pay for all the licenses they would sell up front. Like if you wanted to sell 100 licenses, you had to go in there and buy them, and then the customers would pay you back plus 25 cents. That was not the best plan.
No, it's almost like the FWC has become anti-fishing with these regulations that they're putting in place, and it makes no sense to me whatsoever what these guys are doing up there. And if somebody out there knows who to talk to or can talk to that person and say, dude, what's up? Somebody, so we need to just wake these people up and tell them they've got it wrong. It's simple as that. They have got it wrong.
Well, I can tell you, Georgia has no problem charging us $291 to go hunt deer there in the fall.
You're right. You're exactly right.
If it works for them. All right, buddy. Listen, Jim, we appreciate it so much as always. Please tell me we can check with you next week.
I'm looking forward to it, Rick.
Thank you,
Hopefully we'll
buddy.
have some answers by then.
Jim Ross from East Central. Let's take a little stop down in Stuart, Florida, my favorite little fishing village. Check in with John Earhart, who I understand is in a duck blind as we speak. Is that right?
I'm in a duck blind, so if you hear some shooting on this conversation, there's probably going to be a few ducks falling out of the sky.
Here, you need some help? Hold on. Well, I can't do it anymore. Did that help you?
Nothing yet.
That sounded like a mallard, didn't it?
A little bit.
Yeah. How's your fishing, John?
Fishing's been pretty good. You know, we've been getting some sailfish trickling in here and there. Most of the action's been north of our inlet, 90 to 160 feet. We're still getting some nice blackfin tuna out around Push Button Hill. And I've been seeing a few mahi mixed in the deeper water. I seen another guy down south caught some nice gaffers about a week ago, and that was around West Palm Beach. You know, I think he was in 400 feet of water. So there's a few mahi pushing through right now too, and the bottom fishing's been all right on the 6 and the 8 mile reef. They're catching some nice mutton snappers, mangroves, lane snappers, and then of course if you're willing to deep drop, they're getting some tile fish right now and some vermilion snapper.
Now, what's the law on tile fish right now?
I think it's 2 per prick, but don't quote me on it because where I'm at, it's using my location. But I believe it's 1 or 2 per person. You know, that's what I've been seeing guys been getting on their boats right now. I haven't been seeing real big ones, but if you're out there trying for the tuna, and the vermilion snapper aren't hitting on the bottom in the deeper water, it's worth going out a little bit deeper and trying around 750 feet of water.
Mm-hmm.
And, if they're there, you're typically going to get them.
So it's going to be an electric reel fishery any way you look at it.
Yeah. When you're fishing out of Stewart, you're going to have electric reel if you want to go target these golden tiles.
Now, you talk about the sailfish being north of you. Are the boats running up as far as like Bethel Shoals, up that far, or?
Guys have been going up to Bethel and even a little bit further than that.
Wow.
I mean, I see guys are trying around the power plant, but you get up north Bethel Shoals up towards Sebastian. That's where it seems like the better sail fishing has been lately.
Mm-hmm.
It the past couple of years, it seems like Sebastian to Cape Canaveral, that's your honey hole. If you want to get big numbers consistently, that's just where you got to go.
Yep. It's just about as far for you guys to run up to where they are as it is for us from Jacksonville. They're just about stuck in the middle. Hey, listen, John, we appreciate the heck out of it. Please tell me we can check with you next week.
Yes, sir. I'll talk to you next week, and hopefully we'll have some sailfish right out front.
That'll be good. All right, Captain John Earhart, go shoot a mallard for us. All right, thanks to John Earhart calling us live from the duck blind to let us know that the fishing's pretty good in Stewart. Sailfish runs a little slow. Let's move on down to Miami and check in with one Ray Rocher. Captain Rocher, how we doing?
I'm good.
Good.
How are you?
Good deal. Doing fine. It's pretty cold up here. You guys got it better than we do.
Yeah.
My grandson and I were scouting hunting property yesterday, and there was ice on the mud.
Wow.
It was frozen over. I couldn't believe it.
It's pretty chilly.
How's your fishing been?
Slow here, but getting better.
Okay.
The numbers are getting a little better. Talked to one buddy of mine today. He had fished 3 days, the last 3 days, and he's caught 2 sails every day.
Okay.
Talked to Art Sapp up in Hillsborough, and and he said conditions could not have looked better. Looked like he would have caught 20, and he caught a single and a triple out of a quad, and some other odds and ends, Dolphin Kings. But so it was a little better up there. And then I got the big report. My buddy on the fish on, Andrew, just caught 20 today out of Lake Worth Inlet. So it's the first real big day anybody's had. Another boat up there caught 10. I haven't heard all the reports yet, but so far Andrew had 20 and another boat, Michael Mumford, had 10. So,
wow,
that's the talk on the dock. It's not confirmed by me, but that's the hearsay from my mates. So
that's some awfully good fishing, I tell you.
Yeah,
what.
so it's the first chunk of fish. It seemed like they came, probably from up north, and this little bit of weather pushed some fish down, which is what we've all been waiting on.
I don't know about you, but to me, double digits is very, very special. I mean, we've really got to have a good day to do that on my boat. I promise you. Hey, Ray, now
Yeah.
you and I have talked a lot about golden tile fishing lately. What's the status? It's one per person now, right?
3 per boat max.
Three
Yep.
per boat max. And they're looking to cut it back?
No, I don't. I hope not, because there's plenty of them. But
Okay.
the last 2 years, they've closed it by February and March, which is heartbreaking.
I see.
You know, the quota's been met. It's kind of like the red snapper debacle. It's just like, how do you even know? No one's ever asked me how many
Right.
tilefish I caught.
Right.
You know, other
Yep.
than my charter thing. But like recreational fishing, nobody, whatever.
I
Don't
don't.
get me started.
I don't know what MRIP is, but I know I've never been asked about it, so I know that much.
I said this 20 years ago in a South Atlantic Council advisor meeting that I was a part of. I said, I don't know how, it was like my first meeting. I was the new guy, and I said, I know this is probably going to be a little inflammatory, but if I were running MRIP, and I was doing the job that's being done today, I would expect to get fired. That was 20 years ago. I said that in a meeting, stood up amongst a dozen of my peers. And I said, I'm not, no disrespect, but at that point, and a little shy of 30 years, I had never been stopped and had my fish counted. And I commercial fished and charter fished somewhere between 200, 275 days a year. I mean, 200 would actually low, 225 to 275 back then. And for all those years, I never once, for 25 years at that point, had never been checked, had my fish checked. So how do they know if I caught 0 dolphin, 10 dolphin, 100 dolphin? You know, nobody knew, because back then there were no limits, and yet they're managing things based on MRIP. I don't even want to get started on it because I'll ramble, but it's just a flawed system that unfortunately controls a lot of really important business.
Oh, it's a horrible.
The business of and it's a business of recreational fishing and charter fishing and commercial fishing. All 3 of those sectors are heavily impacted by these estimates, and the money that's generated by those 3 groups is just immense and should be supported, not hampered.
I couldn't agree more. Hey, I got a question for you. You and I are learning as we become the elders of the sport. I finally am sorry. I finally figured out that a good day's fishing doesn't always depend on what we catch. That fishing is just a medium. That the draw of it is the people you get to spend the day with on the boat, right?
Oh yeah.
I want you to tell me about the best day you ever had on the water.
Well, one of the most memorable didn't involve anything over 5 pounds, and it was I had the privilege of stepping on board, and I was in Cat Key working for the Kellys, taking out their groups. And I had an open day, and back then the guys were tuna fishing. Alan Merritt, Bill, and George Steros, who worked. Were just some of the best of the absolute best. They were the icons. Nobody had won the Bluefin Tuna tournament in Cat Key more than those 2 guys, Bill Steros and Alan Merritt. And I had been friendly with them, got to know them a little bit on the dock. And this day, they asked me to join them in the Caliban, and I was just ecstatic. We're going out. It's just the 3 of us, and I don't know what we're doing, but I'm expecting to get the 130s out, and we're just going to do something special. The next thing you know, they got yo-yos out and oats and chum, and we're going yellowtail. And those guys, you'd have thought they were fishing for $1 million. They were ragging on each other and calling each other names. And it was just, it taught me something about fishing and life. Mm-hmm. That just what you said, it's not the size of the fish, it's the company you're in and the challenge that the fish presents, even if he's 2 pounds. And those guys taught me to appreciate just the art of fishing.
Oh,
and it's something that never left me. And they're both gone, so I appreciate that day more than ever.
I got to tell you, I got to take, and I felt so blessed to do this. We had a great charter boat captain that fished here till he was 70-something or so. Finally gave up his party boat license. I think I said charter boat, but his party boat license. Mm-hmm. But I got to take him fishing one time, and we were called a time when I was a customer on his boat, but we were buddies anyway. And I reeled up a scamp. Well, you don't get many scamps on the party boat. And gags, of course, are 24 inches. The minimum was, but scamps are 20. All right, so I laid this scamp out, and I knew good and well he was 23. He's fine. George comes out of the wheelhouse, and he says, short, you need to throw that one back. I said, no, he's not, Cap. He said, he's short, throw him back. And I said, here, measure him. And he lays him out on the board and goes, I'll be damned, you're right, and threw him overboard. I mean, we've been very good friends ever since then, but I sure do want my scamp grouper back.
That's right.
Cap, we appreciate it as always. Please tell me we can check with you next week.
Yes, sir.
You got it. Our thanks to Ray Rocher, great Miami report and a great story. Now let's head on down to Alamorada to check in with Brandon Storn. Brandon, my producer says I'm supposed to do a Young Boats commercial during this break between captains. I think you may be the best Young Boat commercial around.
You're not wrong there, buddy. I fall more and more in love with my Young every single day.
Now, you've got the Gulf Shore 24, right?
Correct, with the high size. So it's got the 9-foot beam and high gunnels. But it also gets in very shallow water.
Have you ridden in the New Salt River yet?
I have. And my good friend is purchasing one. I think you should get it middle of February.
That's fantastic. Hey, tell me about your fishing this week.
Fishing's been good. We had that cold front, so it definitely pushed some more sheep's head, black drums down. We got into a really good black drum bite, a lot of fun, and also some cobias. It's been some permits floating up, trying to get some suns and trying to warm up. Spanish mackerels are chomping at the bit. A lot of fun back there. Out front, the patches have been really good. We got a lot of keeper muttons there today. We only kept 2 of them, but we caught 7 keepers.
Excellent.
Yep.
Brandon,
plenty of grouper now because they're out of season. So lots of black and red groupers too. We got to throw back.
Still fun to catch, but I'm telling you, more than any regulation will ever accomplish, the change in attitude among fishermen like your party the other day, caught 7 legals, only one to keep 2, is what will save our fishing.
Yes. I mean, honestly, that's kind of the captain's call. I mean, these people, they had 4 mouths to feed. They were leaving the next day. I mean, 4 fillets of mutton is plenty for 4 people to have a dinner, So why have that conversation after you hang them all at the dock? Why don't we have that conversation on the boat? Okay, how many mouths to feed? How long are you here for? Okay, cool. We're just going to keep this many. We're good.
I got you. Okay. All right. Well, Brandon, we appreciate the heck out of it as always. Please tell me we can check with you next week.
Absolutely.
All right, buddy. Take care. Our thanks to Brandon Storn for a great Alamorada report. Now, let's hop up into Southwest Florida and check in with Greg Stamper from Snook Stamp Charters. Greg, how are you?
Doing great today, Rick.
Good. You see any juvie tarpon this week, or is that done and gone?
I'm sure they are where I left them. They were sitting in some pretty warm water that's deep and doesn't get as much of the fluctuations in temperature. But we didn't really mess with them this week. This week we went after a lot of the redfish. We started to see a few more trout, but not a lot. My area doesn't seem to be holding much trout right now for whatever reason. And we did a lot of other things like around the passes and stuff. We started catching a lot of mackerel, snappers, and a few pompano. So it wasn't a great week, but we did catch some fish, and I left those juvenile tarpon alone. I figure I'll go back to them when I need them. The one thing that has been consistent, and I think it will just continue to be for a while, are the Jack Crevalles. They're everywhere, and they could be the small ones that are small, where they're only a half a pound or so. And the big ones are about 8 or 9 pounds. That's about as big as we've got. But there's a lot of them, and it definitely keeps people busy. The other good thing this week we did a lot of, because we had some very low water, is we fished a lot of the docks and stuff that are near our passes and in those areas. And we had some good luck with some small black drum, nothing big, maybe up to about 4 or 5 pounds, but it pulled some line. They were fun. And we also, obviously, we caught a lot of snappers around those same docks and some sheep's head. Now, the guys that got out near shore, they did pretty good on some sheep's head. Their sheep's head seemed to be a little fatter, a little bit bigger out there. I'm hoping those big ones will eventually move in to where I'm at. But the guys that are out there, they're just, putting small pieces of shrimp, small offerings on jigs, dropping them around those rocky bottoms and rock piles. And they're doing real good on snappers, sheep's head. They are getting some black drum. And of course, they have a random amount of different things out there. There's always, as you're dropping, there's jacks and there's mackerels and things like that. And the guys that were offshore, they did have a day or two. They could do it this week. They did no problem catching those red groupers. So apparently there's a lot of red grouper available. They're saying they're as shallow as 70 feet. So they're in shallow relative to where they normally go. And then, of course, after they load up on those, they move around, find themselves a whole bunch of snapper and fill up on a lot of mangrove snapper and some yellowtail are the main prize right now.
Makes for a nice day. Yeah, hey, let me tell you, up in North Carolina, they make a living throwing flies at false albacore, bonita, okay? I mean, those guys up there think that is high drama.
Yep.
Why wouldn't it work down here with jack crevalle? A 10-pound jack crevalle is every bit as strong as a 10-pound bonita.
No, I agree. Well, like when the bonitas and stuff get out off of our beaches and stuff, they're pretty easy pickings because you can see them crashing bait on the water. You can get right to them, and they kind of stick around because that's where the bait is. The jacks that we get in our back bays, especially where I'm fishing, like you'll see them coming down shorelines from half a mile away. You'll see them crashing, but they move so quick and go by you so fast. Sometimes it's hard to keep up. Like I'll see them sometimes out in the bay hitting stuff, and they're like, "Well, I'm gonna go get them." I'm like, "Well, because by the time I get there, they're gone."
Yeah. That's just like bonita. And, the fish are so similar. It just seems to me, why on earth is it such a big deal in North Carolina to catch bonita on a fly rod? We got these big old jacks that we downplay all the time that are every bit as tough on a fly rod.
No, I agree. We could definitely do that. I mean, if we're throwing a fly rod and there's jacks around, it's going to get hooked up and they're going to have a good time, especially if they're decent size. They'll get into your back end pretty quick.
They make that little handle on the side of the fly reel. They make it go around backwards real fast. You can.
Yeah. Don't try and slow it down in the beginning.
No, don't do that. No, just let it go. You're right. Hey, Greg, you've been in this business a long time. What is the scariest thing you have run across fishing?
Well, one of the craziest things that I've seen at my marina, we had a guy that was working for us. He was pretty young. He was kind of in the beginning of his guiding career, and he was out fishing with a little group of people, and they must have caught a couple catfish, but they caught one nice catfish, pretty good size, and the kid wanted a picture of it.
Now we're talking about saltwater catfish, right?
Saltwater catfish, yeah, big sailfin catfish.
Okay.
And I guess they wanted to get a picture of it, so the kid tried to hold it and ended up wiggling out of their hands. That poor catfish, it fell straight down, and their spines are lethal. They're long and they're super sharp. It was right through the shoe and right through the foot, and they had to cut the barb off the actual fish and rush them back in to get to the dock. And by the time they got to the dock, that poor kid's foot was the size of a football.
I believe it.
And they had to cut that. They had to cut the shoe off of the kid. The scissors and all that stuff. They had the ambulance there and everything. That was pretty scary. It was a lot of blood, and I felt so bad for that little kid. I don't know if he's ever going to go fishing again.
Well, I can tell you, of all the mean, nasty, horrible things that my parents ever did to me, we were fishing one time, and of course, cane poles were the tackle of the day. We didn't have anything else. And we're fishing, and my brother is standing directly behind me. Neither one of us are wearing a shirt. It's the middle of summertime in Florida. And I got the first bite of the day. Now, you would think that would make my parents very proud of me. And it turns out it was a saltwater catfish. But I pulled on it in case it was a blue marlin. Okay? I pulled hard enough to put the hook in a blue marlin. The catfish came flying by me and buried in my brother's back. Okay?
Oh.
And they were mad at me. It was the only fish we'd caught.
Anyone who's ever been stung accidentally by one of those knows that it is no joke. It's like being stung by a wasp times 10.
Yeah, you ain't wrong.
It's a serious burn. It's a serious burn. Well, that captain to this day, I don't call him by his real name. I call him Gato, which is cat in Spanish.
I gotcha. Hey, Greg, thanks so much for the report. We appreciate it. Please tell me we can check with you next week.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Our thanks to Greg Stamper for a great Southwest report. Now let's move up to West Central and check in with Captain Ray Markham. Ray, how are you?
Well, I'm almost thawed out.
You don't
A
see
little wind blown.
You're not going to stay thawed out for long.
Well, I'll tell you, this week has been crazy. It's between the cold and the wind, and it's winter, I guess. What can I say? Winter was yesterday and the day before, and but the fishing's been okay. Let me put it that way. For the temperatures that we had and the stirred up water and the conditions that we've had, there's been some fish that are chewing. Mostly we were targeting trout. And basically the reason being is the tides were so freaking low that, the only place there's a little bit of water left, and it seemed to be where all the schooling fish were, which were the trout. And I believe a lot of the snook either hightailed it out into deep water offshore, or what few creeks and rivers that we have up inside Tampa Bay, they just scooted way up in there. So I didn't get up in there, so I can't tell you about that.
Is it possible, can the snook in Tampa Bay, are there any springs like there are a little farther north of you? Can the snook get warm in a spring anywhere around there, or not really?
There are some, but I will say this. When I was living down in Terracea, I found some creeks that had some small little fissures on the bottom, and I'm talking real small. Mm-hmm. But it was shooting up silt or sand. Okay, you could see a little hole, probably the diameter of a pencil, and sand would be coming up out of it. So it leads me to believe that those little spots do have some kind of spring-fed or artesian wells that are coming up, because I know for a fact there are artesian wells on Terracea. And actually, the house that I rented down there that one artesian well served 4 houses there. They were all connected. But what I found out is within 6 months of hosing my boat off with artesian well water, things started to pit a little bit. So I told the owner if he didn't get, city water in there, I was going to move. So that ended that, and ended up with city water, no other problems. But yeah, I do think there's some small little, if you want to call them springs or artesian type well things that bubble up in a lot of these creeks and rivers, and certainly if you get far enough up a river like Peace River and that, you'll find some springs and all.
Well, hopefully they'll keep the fish warm enough to where we don't lose any snook this winter.
As long as we don't have a long duration, right. I think we'll be okay.
Hey, Ray.
Yes.
Let's say that the worst case scenario comes about and Mother Nature comes down this year and wipes out all your snook. And you had the opportunity to give up, 5% of your income to have all the snook replaced in Tampa Bay. Would you do it?
Well, it's interesting you say that. I'm a life member of CCA,
right?
Coastal Conservation Association. Every year I donate trips to them, and I have for the last 30 years. But they aren't the only ones. Believe me. As a fishing guide, just as well as I do that you get hit up on a regular basis with all the different charities that are going on. And I do that to some of them, but, you just can't do it all. But yes, the short answer is yes, but it's not directly my money out of my pocket to it. It's mostly donating my time, because the only thing that I can write off physically on taxes for donation are my actual expenses, whether it's gas and oil or tolls or things like that. So, yeah, bottom line, I'm missing $1,000 a day, but as far as I'm concerned, the amount of work and things that CCA does and some of the other organizations, it's well worth the time, the money, and the investment.
I got to tell you, I have become a much bigger fan of CCA in the last 5 years. Of course, you and I are both very happy to see Lisa Fitzgerald and all the things that she does. But,
Certainly.
Just the fact that they're planting all these clams or planting all these stones for oysters to grow on, and just, for a while it seemed to me like they were strictly a money-raising organization. Now they seem like they're really swinging into action to help make our fisheries better.
I believe you're right. And, part of it has to do with size. And every time I do a seminar, I ask for a raise of hands, people. How many are members of CCA? And it's surprising that the lack of interest in something like that, yet they're the first ones that will complain when it comes to, or the FWC or something making up new rules and regulations, because they get input from the public and from stakeholders, and if they say that no, our catch rate is down, the sizes are down, or whatever the case may be, and then they ask for input and they hear nothing from anyone. I mean, I've been to some of these meetings where I'm the only guide there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I realize everybody's on the water, and it's a long day, and it's tiresome when you get home or whatever. And to try and be someplace at 6 o'clock when you just got off the boat at 4, and you're trying to get things cleaned up and then yourself cleaned up and then get to the meeting, but still, somebody's got to do it.
Yep.
And if it's not us, who?
If it to me, it's just like voting. If you don't vote, shut up. You don't have any
Amen,
input.
brother.
You don't have any input. Ray, we appreciate it ever so much. Please tell me we can check with you next week.
Absolutely.
Our thanks to Ray Markham for a great West Central report. Now it's time for Homosassa. And the man that knows everything Homosassa, one William Toney. How many golf carts are on the road tonight?
Rick, it's actually pretty crazy because right now, actually, nobody.
Wow.
It is a ghost town here in Homosassa. We were 28 degrees this morning, and I can tell you what, there was ice on my boat till 9:30 this morning. But, so I don't know if you want to be riding around on a golf cart or anything like that tonight. But I will say, if you're in town, there's always McRae's. You got over across the river Crumps. They've got the tiki torches going. They got the heaters going. So they got, I call it Scarioke. So Tuesday night is Scarioke. I put my earplugs in. Some sing good, some sing bad, but yeah, it's whatever. It's cheap entertainment. But that's where we are tonight here in Homosassa, and probably a lot of your little towns all up and down the Big Bend.
Yep, my wife loves it when I sing tenor 11 miles away. So anywhere else. Hey, William, what's going on with your fishing this week?
All right. Fishing this week has been very cold. So we had pretty much a big cold front come through last week. We had a huge one come through here on Sunday. So we've had frosty conditions. I don't have a temperature gauge on my boat. I don't have a lot of electronics, but I can put my hand in the water and tell you about midways down the Homosassa River. If you fell in, you would not like it. Mm-hmm. Now, if you head to the headwaters up there, it's pretty warm. So we started a little bit downriver, and what I found doing this river fishing and winter fishing here on the Big Bend, I like to start right near the ramp, and then I'll make a kind of decision. I'll head up toward the springs. And we fished up there. We did catch about 7 or 8 nice keeper-sized mangrove snappers, legal at 10 to 12, 13 inches, and a couple small snook. But what I didn't really, was sitting there thinking, there are no ladyfish. Ladyfish are prevalent everywhere. So there were so many manatees. Our spring waters up there looked like a muddy toilet. Yep. It was just, there were so many. So we dropped back downriver, but we waited till afternoon. So you got that window between 12 o'clock and 2 o'clock where you're going to have the best heat of the day. Mm-hmm. And we went back downriver and the north sides of the bank and these muddy flats that drop off in deep water. We caught snook, we caught black drum, we caught trout, we caught snapper, and some ladyfish. But some of the snook, believe it or not, I'm taking just a guess. We're talking water below 60 degrees, and we had a 33-inch snook today in, 50 degree water, which blew my mind.
Wow.
So I was sitting there, and then you finally drop toward the mouth of the river, and I had a fellow guy came in from the Gulf, and he said it was about 53. So, what I suggest, anglers going out in this cold kind of weather like that, which are supposed to warm up a little bit and have another big push of cold air, is go in increments. And when I mean like not half a mile or a quarter mile. I'm talking a couple 100 yards. And you'll find that line somewhere where that temperature and those fish are going to hold. Don't get up at daylight, and don't fish after 4 o'clock. Go to that hottest part of the day, northern shorelines where that southern sun is beating down on those coves, anywhere where there's dark bottom that runs in a deep water. And I have a feeling that most of those trout and redfish, black drum, snook, and everything will go in that deep channel at night when that temperature drops. And when it gets hot up on that little flat, that's where they're laying, and that's where they're going to feed.
Well, I'm just hoping we don't get such a sudden and prolonged cold front that we lose all our snook. As so far, it seems like they're faring pretty well.
They have, and I've talked to a lot of different people here, and we've had 2 or 3 good frosts, but not a sustained long period of really, really cold weather.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as I know, I haven't heard of any snook kill in our area. Now, some of the guys on the outside may have seen some that got caught, but, with the cold. But in our area here up in the river, everything seems to be hunky-dory.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. All right. Now, are you throwing any D.O.As this time of year, or is it mostly live bait?
Well, absolutely. Today I talked, yesterday, planning out for a charter. All our shrimp captains that are going out for our live bait cannot get out of the river, or when the temperatures drop in the Gulf into the 50s, those shrimp will bury up.
Right.
So it has been strictly artificial all day for me, except, and I'll tell you my secret. Everybody, don't go running and steal my secret, but you can still get shrimp at Publix.
Okay.
Okay. You got Publix shrimp. So, if you do like to use shrimp, which is not live, but you can still get a pound of, just good Gulf shrimp at Publix for cheaper than 100 shrimp. And I pinch them in half because they're pretty big and put them on a jig head and fish them on the bottom. And that's what we caught a lot of our black drum on and our mangrove snapper. All of our snook and ladyfish and the redfish and trout have all come on D.O.A Cal Shad, which one of my favorite colors this time of year is glow with a gold rush belly.
Are you a color guy? Do you think color makes that much difference? Are you? Okay.
I do, and we'll talk about color because the thing is, different areas I fish, I like, mirror lure little johns and watermelon red flake. If I had to take 2 colors, those 2 colors would be mine. But there are sometimes, I believe, like in cold water and things, that fish see colors different than we do. And I don't know about the glow. And, the glow to gold rush with a chartreuse head. I have sat there many times and fished, different colors when my clients are throwing and catching fish. And I will sit there and just pick whatever oddball color I can. And sometimes it works and sometimes it don't. But I believe in cold conditions like we have right now, that color really matters. Now, when we get warmer, say later in, late winter, spring and things like that, I believe just finding fish makes the difference and not the color.
Gotcha. Captain William, we appreciate it as always, and please tell me we can check with you next week.
I'll be here in downtown Homosassa, and I'm hoping to get a couple weekends here in coming up late January and February, because I want to seek revenge on a lot of little tree rats that have bothered me all hunting season.
They've eaten a lot of my corn, I can promise you that. They're fat.
Absolutely. And I can't tell you what, if you think a big mature doe can bust you really good, a squirrel can do it faster.
Yep. You're right. You're right. I think everything busts me. I'm a very discouraged hunter. I don't know. I don't know.
I felt a lot better today going out and catching some nice snook and trout and everything. Yes. And I felt like, man, I'm a fisherman, but I don't know. I felt like I conquered something. But as a hunter, I felt like I went out there and walked around a lot, hunted a lot, and thought about life a lot, and done everything a lot, except not ate a lot of venison.
William, I am convinced that fishing and hunting are not about what we shoot and not about what we catch. It's who we get to spend our time with.
I totally agree.
I
do.
My best days in the woods, like yesterday, I didn't even have a rifle with me. But my grandson and I explored places we'd never seen, found places where we knew we could hunt next year. It's about being in the woods with somebody you love. It just is.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. It's like at our camp when it gets toward twilight and everything, my mind goes from being like, okay, the big buck's going to come out right now. It's prime time.
Mm-hmm.
But my mind switches to be like, who's at the camp? What are we going to eat tonight?
Yep.
Has Jody got his guitar? Are we going to build a big fire? Is it going to be nice? How late are we going to stay up? 9 or 9:30?
You just defined hunting at its finest. You sure
Yes,
did.
sir, we did.
That's outstanding. Cap, we appreciate it as always. Please tell me we can check with you next week.
Yes, sir. I'll be right here. Captain Rick, thank you so much.
Okay, Captain William Toney from downtown Homosassa. Our thanks to William Toney for a great report out of Homosassa. Now, let's wrap up our trip around the state tonight by checking in with Captain Kevin Lanier in Mexico Beach. Kev, how are you?
Captain Rick, we're in the bitter north part of the state tonight.
No, you're not. I am. Don't want to hear you complaining.
Well, I got to complain a little bit. I have never met a fisherman that didn't enjoy complaining a little bit.
Yeah, that's true, too. Yep, that's true, too. Yep. So how's your fishing been?
Fishing's been good. Not a lot of activity around here this time of year. It really slows down once we get after the holidays and snapper closes down. But the guys that are getting out are catching fish. They're not having to go far. They're starting to get a little bit lethargic because it's cold. But I will tell you, one of the best fisheries we have around here, definitely catch and release only now, is that gag grouper fishing in about 30 to 40 feet of water. Trolling those big stretch 30s out there.
Fun.
It is fun. And you can go out there and bend a rod all day long and turn them loose. So it's good.
Kevin,
catching some. Yeah.
Is the closed season helping? Are they getting better, or did they not need to close it at all, or what's the deal?
Well, here's my opinion is it probably didn't hurt. Let me say this right. I believe that we had it open for too long, but I also believe that, they did just like they always do. They go way to the other extreme. Yep. So we got to get back to some reasonable regulations. And, I've always supported reasonable regulations. So.
Yep. I'm sitting here thinking the guy that produces and edits our podcast every week is one of my favorite fishing partners. And if he and I could go out and troll stretch 30s and each go home with a 12-pound gag, that'd be just fine with me.
Oh, you and me both. I don't need a boatload of them.
Nope.
Just one to eat.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you're exactly right. Hey, speaking of that, all right, Mother Nature throws us a curveball, and all your gags are gone. Okay, they froze. I don't know. A hurricane got them. I don't know. But we've got the option of having hatcheries replace them. Would you give up, 5% of your boat's income to release 1 or 2 million gags into the Gulf?
No.
Okay.
I say that, but I have more to that. I would not give up 5% of my income because our expenses are so high that our margins are pitiful when it comes to running a charter boat. However, I would totally support a $5 per license, saltwater license sold in the state of Florida, or a percentage increase in licensing for that very reason right there. Because I think if we're all going to share the wealth, we all share the wealth.
Jim Ross made an excellent point when we were doing the East Coast over there, or I thought it was an excellent point. He would like to see charter boat licenses where your license covers your guests that came down from Michigan or wherever. He'd like to see that abolished, and he'd like to see those people pay for fishing licenses just like we have to. And maybe you've got a 5-day license that's only $25. But what if every one of your charter customers had to buy a fishing license?
Well, we would not be the only state in the U.S. that does that. I mean, I lived in Washington for a number of years, and you know that. And everybody that got on that boat had to buy a license. What they did was they allowed the charter boats to sell the license on their boat so that the charter customers could get them right there. They pay, the charter pays the state and whatever, and it's a whole lot more convenient. But I'm a firm believer that if you're going to participate in the fishery, then we all should contribute, because we already pay, quite a hefty fee every year for our Florida fishing license charter, and we renew our federal license and things like that. But that reef fishing permit that everybody gets every year for free.
Sure.
Charge for it.
Put
a surcharge on it and have that money designated to go to, specifically to do exactly that. I think that we can raise red snapper in hatcheries. I think we can raise grouper in hatcheries, and I think we can take pressure off the wild fish and put those fish, you won't get fish in the restaurants. Does it matter if it's swimming in the Gulf or if it's swimming in a hatchery?
Yep, that's true. I don't know. I think one thing we're going to have to figure out, and we'll put an end to this, is the answer more habitat or more fish? And I don't know the answer to that. More fish?
No, we here in Mexico Beach have one of the largest artificial reef systems in the state. And we have a thriving fishery. I do not think in our portion of the state habitat is the problem. I think in our part of the state, you just need, because the bean counters, whatever algorithm they use to count by, we just need more numbers for them to count. So that's my opinion.
Gotcha. Kevin, as always, we appreciate the heck out of it. And listen, you got some time off coming up, so don't get too far away. Let's make sure we get together soon.
We'll get together soon, and as always, Captain Rick, I thoroughly enjoy talking to everybody each week, and it is my honor and privilege.
Thanks, Kev. Take care, Cap. I tell you something I enjoy. I enjoy it when our podcasters say, fishing wasn't good this week. We didn't do well. The water was too cold. We didn't catch fish. Why do I enjoy it? Because now when they tell me, holy smokes, Cap, they're chewing the bottom out of the boat, I know I can believe it, So we're going to get these fronts that are going to shake things up. That's all right. It'll be back to normal in no time. We'll just have to wait for it to happen. But there's one thing you can count on for sure. That's next week. We're going to be back with another edition of Florida Sportsman Action Spotter Podcast. And until then, for Florida Sportsman Magazine, I'm Captain Rick Riles, and we'll see you on the rip.